I was thinking about something. I'm going to leave the comment section open on this one. But I want to get into something. I want to talk about a quote from John Locke, a philosopher who lived in the 1600s. He was an English philosopher. And he was influential in a lot of writings of a lot of people. And he also influenced the government here, the U.S. He had a big influence on the Constitution. Much of what's written in the U.S. Constitution is a reflection of John Locke's philosophy. I know also the philosophy of Rousseau, but also the philosophy of John Locke about government. But the thing is this. There's a quote from John Locke that sticks in my mind, and it goes that our everyday handling of things takes away our wonder, but it does not cure us of our ignorance. And I think a lot of times we say things, we say phrases and words and things, and we don't question it. We don't question what things. We just repeat stuff. We kind of pick up these, to use Richard Dawkins' terms, memes, these mind viruses. We just repeat things. We become, I thought about the other day, I was thinking about how sometimes people become like carriers. It's like being a carrier of a disease. You know how some people can have an infection, but they don't get sick. But they carry that infection to other people who do get sick. And thoughts can be that way. Ideals can be that way. Beliefs can be that way. But what I really want to get to is this. I want to talk about examining what it is you believe. Do you really think about it? Because I think about what I believe. I'm still a believer. I'm still one who believes in God. But I think about it. And I have questions. I have a lot of questions. A lot of things I wonder about. Questions I would like to ask God about. I like to ask God. And I look for answers to things myself sometimes. Just try to figure out. But I think what's more important is the questions. I think that I like to examine John Locke's statement carefully. Our everyday handling of things takes away our wonder. We see things, when we deal with things, when we say things, when we repeat things, we go through rituals and ceremonies and whatever. We don't wonder anymore about those things. One thing I think that happens when people grow up, they lose their curiosity. People aren't curious. I think for me, I've maintained my curiosity. I'm always wondering about things. Why do we do things a certain way? But I think we live in a world sometimes when you question things, you get beat up. Not always physically, but a lot of times psychologically. You'll get yelled at, or you'll be threatened, or maybe you'll get punished or reprimanded. So you learn after a while. Just don't question things. Just take things as they're given to you. If somebody gives you something, just take it. Somebody tell you to do something, you just do it. Our everyday handling of things. Yes, our wonder disappears. It takes away the wonder. It's just like taking a medication that takes away the symptoms, but it doesn't cure you of the illness. I think the thing is that we need to question things. I think people should question religion. People should question stuff. They shouldn't just take things. Don't just take things, because until you question things, then, you can't really be an honest and sincere person. One thing is, it's hard for me to have conversations with people who don't really question their position. I mean, I've had conversations with people who are atheists who really have looked at it and examined it, and they've come to that conclusion that no, they don't believe in God. but they really have examined it. And I know the difference between people like that and people who haven't really questioned it. They just repeat things. They say things. They come up with expressions that somebody else came up with, and they just repeat it over and over and over. And they don't examine it. And there are people who believe in God, or claim to, who have never really examined what it is they believe. I think that what Socrates said is true. You know, the unexamined life is not worth living. You have to examine things. Life becomes a lot richer when you really examine things and you take a good look at it. And you ask yourself questions about things. Don't be afraid that you might change your mind. I think that's the big fear. I think that's the fear that people have. Because they think that whatever it is they believe right now, that is your identity. And if you change your mind, you'll lose your identity. You'll lose yourself as a person. And you'll, in some ways, psychologically, you'll die if you change your mind. No, I think if you change your mind, you might discover who you really are and what it is you really believe. So don't be afraid to examine things. You know, don't be afraid of the cure for ignorance. The cure for ignorance is examining things. That's how we make progress. We examine things. We take a look at it and we question things. So again, I'd like to repeat that quote from John Locke, and you take a look at it carefully. Our everyday handling of things takes away our wonder, but it does not cure us of our ignorance. But let me add this. The cure for ignorance is taking a close examination of things. And that's all I have to say.